simple. If there's one thing I love doing, and that's uniformity, keeping uniformity in my fishing so that every time I go, everything is set up the same way. I'm a big believer in it because it just means that you're not thinking about it. You know, I set up in a way that's really comfortable for me, and that just means that, you know, that is not on my mind. When I get to my peg, I'm setting up, and while I'm setting up, I'm thinking about my fishing. I'm thinking about my approach. I'm watching the water to see if there's anything there, and I'm watching the anglers as well. You know, it might be a venue I'm not familiar with, and there's a regular angler at the next peg. It just frees up all my time and my mind just to keep my mind on fishing and not my setup. For me, I'm right-handed, but I love to always have, the basis of my setup is obviously my seat box, and I love to have that facing where I'm casting. I always have it facing the water. I do that for a couple of reasons. One is obviously comfort, but one of the key reasons why I do it is because I'm facing the water. It means I can quickly and easily look left and right just to see what's happening and what's being caught around me. And the other reason is something that I was taught a long time ago by Dean Barlow, was that if you point your feet in the direction that you're casting in, your casting is going to be a lot more accurate. And by doing this, obviously, if I'm casting sitting down, it means I'm automatically facing where I'm casting. My feet are pointing that direction, and it means my casting is very accurate. So that is the basis of the setup. Coming off the box, then, this is obviously the S36 box, which is super sturdy, and I can obviously position all my attachments in and around this seat box. On my right, usually on my right, as long as the bankside vegetation and features allow me to, I always like to have my rod holder on the right, and that's because it's out of the way, and it just means that, you know, you see when I'm netting fish with my left hand, everything's over towards the left, and that just means that this is over on the right and it's out of my way. I have my feeder arm on the front left leg, and that's because I like to strike across my body. So because that's there, I have the butt of the rod coming off this middle leg here, so that the rod's going across my body, so I'm looking down the rod at the tip so I can quickly and easily pick up on any bites. So that is always the same no matter what venue I go to. Moving around the setup, I always need some space on my left. Sometimes it's in different positions, but it's always on my left for my landing net handle. Because I'm left-handed, I always net fish with my left hand. My bait tray is always on the left, and that's because when I'm feeder fishing, I can load the feeder with my left hand. Everything's there, nice, and it's out of the way. And then obviously, like today, as you can see, when I'm using a bait brolly, that is set up over the bait tray, and that's obviously, you know, I use that a lot, not only obviously for the rain, to keep rain off my bait and keep my bait in tip-top condition, but on days like today it helps keep the sun off it as well, and stops everything drying out, like your pellets and all that, you know, your ground bait. It keeps your bait in tip-top condition. It's the same sort of setup I have like this whether I'm on a commercial or a natural water, and even when I'm sat out in the water, if I've got to wade out or I'm on sat on a platform, this layout is always the same. I don't have to think about it, I just set it up. The only difference there might be when I'm sat out in the water is that occasionally I may have another side tray. Sometimes it's on the back, occasionally it might be on the right, and that's purely because when you're sat out in the water, you want to stay out there for the full duration of the match. You don't want to be nipping back to the bank for extra ground bait, extra worms, or a drink, you know, if you've got some water or a flask with you. So that extra that extra side tray will allow you to do that. It just gives you a bit of extra space to put all those extras on if you need them. So just by keeping it really nice and simple, very uniform, it's the same wherever you go, it's off your mind, you don't have to think about it. So when you get to your peg, your mind's on your fishing.